Well, now I'm going to tell you how to remove clear coat scratches from your modern car. Almost every car nowadays is covered in clear coat paint. Well, it's actually not a paint, it's like a urethane or a clear finish. It has no color. So when it gets the tiniest scratches, it leaves a white mark on top of your darker finish underneath. Here's my van. When I bought it at the auction, it had these clear coat scratches, scuffs if you want to call them. I haven't even washed it since then. That was last November and now it's July. But they're not right through all the way to the color coat, so I think I can get them out. It's not that hard. Well, you're going to need three things. At least one sheet of wet and dry sandpaper. This is the other side, and for clear coat, grit number 1500 works the best. It dulls your paint, but it doesn't really scratch it. Next, some polishing compound. It's even got finer grit in it than the sandpaper has, and it's not a wax. It just looks like a wax. It's a paste still. There it is, looks like chip dip. And some final wax that you polish on to give your glossy shine. It doesn't have to be this color keyed stuff. It can just be regular turtle wax or carnauba wax or any other kind of familiar automotive wax that you're used to. And don't forget a beer, because what I'm going to do is probably a one beer job. So now I've got a bowl filled up with just clean water and 1 or 2 drops of dishwashing liquid soap. The soap prevents the sandpaper from clogging up and also gives it better, like a lubricant when you're doing the paint. So it works really nice. So wet your sandpaper. Make sure you use the wet and dry type of sandpaper. It's always black or dark gray. And sand the affected area. Try to keep changing your direction of strokes. Be very careful not to sand through corners or too much. If you start to see the color change, like to the color of your body, that means you've sanded too much and you're into the color coat underneath. So don't do that. So after about 5 minutes of sanding and a bunch of dipping in to refresh the water on my paper, you can now see the sanded clear coat residue. And when you're doing something like this, it'll slightly change the different texture of shine. You'll have a different texture of shine on your body than everywhere else. So I chose a panel to do. And a good panel is always a panel that you have a body line with to work with. Now the next step is just take a cotton cloth and wipe away the residue with the rest of that water in the bowl. Just a damp cloth. Well, looks better already, but it's wet. Let's let it dry for a moment. Well, as you can see now that panel is dried, it looks very dull, but that's okay. But if I look really closely, I can see I haven't got quite all of those scratches out yet. So that means a bit more sanding, and I still haven't seen the color coming through, so I'm still doing okay. I've still got more room to sand. Now wipe off again with a damp rag. Speed things up, I'll give it a blow dry. So as dull as can be, looks like the scratches are out. Now I'm ready for the polishing compound stage. What I do is I just use a cotton cloth or similar rag, dampen it, squeeze most of the water out, and put a blob of compound on it, and rub hard and even all over in mostly circular motions. Good enough. Now to get some rubbage action. Pressing very hard, and preferably doing this under a shade tree. This stuff dries out too fast if you do it in the sun, so always choose in a garage or a shady area. This stuff looks and feels and smells like wax, but it's not wax. So when you're done polishing it sufficiently, you actually have to wash it off before you go to the wax process. Now after rubbing and pressing hard for 10 minutes, it's time to wash it. And I'll be rubbing it a bit with a wet cloth too. Now to rub in the wax. I would have actually preferred the Turtle hard shell carnauba wax, but I found out while making this video that I was all out of it, so we'll see how this stuff works out. Well, just rub and press hard and do it for quite a while to bring that shine back up. Then you let the stuff completely dry on the body. The sun can help you do that if you want. Oh my god! Anyways, now let it completely dry. Now that it's completely dry, I use a completely dry, fresh, brand new, or clean cotton or whatever polishing towel. And I rub it hard again. Add a little random cabbage and you're all done. Beautiful. The kind of wax I used wasn't the right kind. Isn't just quite as shiny as that carnauba hardshell turtle wax, which I prefer that you use. But scratches are gone, and you can compare to what it looked like before on that other panel. And this panel had a lot more scratches. So now it's perfect. Sweet.